is effective use of Google and Wikipedia. And hopefully we can get this thing off and running. Before we get started, I just want to let everybody know that this session will run for 15 minutes. I've got a lot of information to cover, so I'm still working with the audio and trying to figure that out. But if you have questions, please feel free to use the chat, and that's probably going to be the best thing right now. So if you want to use the chat window, send those to me, and what I'll do is I'll respond to them that way. When I open it up for the 5 minutes after the 15 minutes, we'll open up for 5 minutes of questions, so you can ask any questions you want at that time. Excuse me. And so the other thing I'd like to say is that tonight we'll be talking about Google and Wikipedia in this session, and then after this we'll talk about searching the online library. In August 6th and 8th, I will be doing another session where I will be discussing how to create PowerPoints and how to cite those, as well as creating charts and graphs in Excel and using Microsoft Word in research. So without further ado, I think what we need to do is get started. One of the points that I made in the last session was that we're all striving to become information literate. And information literacy is a way that we can access information. It's just a term that's used by librarians for accessing information that's either on the internet or on in the web. Excuse me, in the library databases. For this particular session, what we'll be talking about is determining the extent of information needed and then accessing it effectively and efficiently, as well as evaluating it critically. That'll be another key component as well. A lot of times what students think, what I find is when students go into library databases, they find that it's too hard to search, and so they want to go to Google because it seems easy. But unfortunately, they don't take a critical eye a lot of times to the information that they're drawing from Google to determine whether or not it's a credible source. That's another thing that we talked about in the previous class. So tonight what we'll be talking about are the first three on this list here, and then next week, or not next week, but in August, I'll be talking about using that information, and we'll also talk about understanding the economic, legal, and social ramifications of using that information. Basically what we'll be looking at is APA style and plagiarism and things like that. So let's move on to the next slide. So Google. Everybody in this room probably Googles one thing or another, and there are pros and cons with Google. For instance, Google has a lot of information and you can access it quickly. That's great. You've heard people say it's kind of a misnomer, but that almost everything's on Google. That's not quite true. You can find a lot of information on Google, but it's not all there. We need to be very careful with what we search for as well. Another pro for Google is that they have scholarly articles, which is what your instructors are wanting you to find. They have an area called Google Scholar where they do have access to online scholarly articles. They also have online books, which is Google Books. So it sounds like you can get all that information out there, but unfortunately, part of the problem is that you have to pay for a lot of that information. And what you'll find is that, oops, I went to the next slide here. All right, so I went out to Google and I searched for an article on information literacy. And what I found was that I did find a great article called the International Journal of Information Management, which sounds like a very scholarly journal on workplace experiences of information literacy, which is something that you'll probably use not just in your coursework here at Argosy, but when you get into the work environment, you'll probably have to use information literacy skills to navigate that as well. Unfortunately, when I went to Google Scholar, they wanted me to pay $20 for this particular article, which if you go into the online library databases, you can probably get that same article for free. Excuse me. The same with Google Books. I went into Google Books and I did a search for information literacy, and I actually have this book on my shelves in the library, and I started to scroll through, and I'm like, oh, this looks really great. Get to the table of contents, and I'm like, all right, under page 14, it talks about asking a good question or shaping a topic for your term paper. What a great thing, teaching me how to do that. So I'm like, okay, well, let's just view all this document, and we'll scroll down. We'll try to find page 14. And 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. All right, so in this case, what Google wants me to do is to buy the book. And so I have all these options. I can go out and spend anywhere from $24 to $63 to get this particular book, where if you go into the online library, typically everything that you'll find in there will be free. So what are you to Google? Now, I heard this in a podcast a number of years ago and I actually have read articles on it too, that to Google, we are not their client. We are essentially their product. What Google does is takes our information and sells it to ad agencies. And that's how they were able to generate $50 billion in 2012. And they also, one of the other things, just to prove that they're all about ads and marketing, is that they track your usage. So this used to be if you went to Google.com ads preferences, I believe it was, it would list, it could tell you what was the gender and age of the person using that computer by the websites that you visited. So you'll see here, I'm not a female, but it says female and that it's age 35 to 44. Well, that's really close. So if you were at home, you had a son or a daughter or a brother that was or a son or a brother who was using the computer a lot, and they were into Pokemon and Star Wars and Legos and things like that, it might say male, ages 10 to 15, so on and so forth, and then it would probably list the different websites that they went to. So you really have to be careful with the information, that you use from the internet and what you put out on the internet as well. And as far as Google is concerned, what do you get as a result? What is a great way to search it? You can go and throw your term in there, but then you get all kinds of things from .coms to .edus to someone writing a blog on a topic to somebody who is running a business, and trying to get a sale. So you really have to be careful with how you search it as well. And then citing is one of my biggest pet peeves as an instructor. What I find a lot of times is that students will go out and they don't know how to cite the page, so the first thing they do is grab the URL and they'll put it in their references section. And sometimes they'll take the URL and they'll add it into the body of their paper as well. Neither of those are APA style. If you put it in the references section and you don't list the author and you don't use proper APA, the only way I'm going to know that you got that information from this particular website, that I can distinguish your information from the information of what you pulled off the internet, is to have your paper go through Turnitin.com. And if we make it that far to Turnitin.com, then we're probably going to have a problem. You might be accused of plagiarizing if you don't know how to properly cite it APA style. The reason I'm telling you this is not to scare you or anything, but to let you know that when you go into the library databases, they will have they do have systems in there or buttons in there that you can press and it will give you an APA citation. In August, I will talk a little bit more about how to turn a site or how to create a citation quickly and easy with a specific little formula that I've created in your paper. It's very quick and easy, and it works like a charm. And anyway, so that's one of the points I want to bring up here. So if we go to this page and we're trying to find credibility of the authors, we do have two authors here. So if we click on one of the authors, luckily we can actually see who this person is. It'll open up this page, and luckily at the top there is this About Us section. So okay, maybe we'll find out some information about this person. So what we're seeing is that this author is actually a scholar, which is good. Well, he's a gentleman and a scholar. That's great. That he does have some education, so he does have some credentials. I don't know what they are, but they're there. And then listed down here, he's got a list of occupations. So he's a content strategist, a consultant, a writer, also a crafter, a maker, and a baker, and a pizza spice shaker. Okay, so he's not taking this website too seriously. So This would be different from going out and trying to find information of a scholarly nature. I probably would tell the student, hey, he might be correct, but this isn't really a scholarly resource, so you shouldn't be using it in your paper. Back to the show. Let's see. Other reasons why we need to be very careful with what we put on the internet is that when you I'll just bring these up real quick. I probably shouldn't because I don't have a lot of time, but there was a story about a husband who went to check his Facebook account and found a picture of his wife on a dating ad. And what happened is that the privacy settings that the wife had put on her Facebook account didn't include, were very loose. And so someone had come in and borrowed her image without her knowing, because she'd already signed off on, not being very tight with her security, and logged and used that in an ad. And Target is another example. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Target, but Target is it's like Walmart Corporation, but they will track pregnant women, and they know which trimester a woman is in by what she's buying in their store. So if she's in her first trimester, she's buying things like zinc or other multivitamins. In her second trimester, she's buying furniture and clothing and diapers. In her last trimester, she's buying cleaning supplies. Well, the story goes that a father comes in and he's very upset. He meets the manager of Target and he's like, I don't know why you guys are sending my daughter these coupons for Huggies in her email account. This is totally inappropriate, and I want you to stop doing it. And the manager's like, I don't know what's going on. The father leaves all in a huff. The manager calls him back in a few days and says, sir, I'm so sorry that this happened. I'm not sure what the mistake was, but I'm sure that, hopefully we can keep you as a customer. And the father's like, well, some things have been going on that we didn't know about in our house. And apparently his daughter was pregnant, and Target knew before the dad knew, or before the dad knew. So just be careful with the information that you put on the internet. All right, trying to get back here. There we go. Okay, so how can you use Google effectively? Well, you can restrict your searches by domain, and it's a cool little thing that you can do within Google, where you use the word site and a colon, and then whatever the domain is, .edu or .gov. You can also add quotes, and in my example, when I did information literacy just by itself, I got 71 million results, as opposed to when I did it with quotes, I got 2.6 million. And I'll show you how that works right now. Let's just pop into Google real quick. Type in information, and I've typed it so many times. Literacy, there we go. So I do a search for information literacy. I've got 64 million results. If I add the words site, .edu with a space, it brings it down to 1 million results. Still a lot, but at least we're getting closer to some scholarly information. And then if I put it in quotations, it gives me 300,000, which is still a lot, but I'm only using one search term out there. So if you want to get things closer, to scholarly and more in line with scholarly research, that's the way to do it if you're going to use Google. Again, I would say to use the online library databases, but we'll be getting to that eventually here. So you can use the minus sign for not, so if you want to exclude some particular terms, that's kind of like a Boolean operator, or capital or will allow you to use multiple terms. All right, so let's get into Wikipedia real quick. So wiki means really quick, so you can find information really, really quickly. And I break it down this way. There's the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is that it's free, and that the guy that created the website wanted it to be free. He had the best of intentions. He didn't make it a .com because he wanted to make money. He made it a .org. He wanted people to have this community where they can share information. And it is a good place to start. I'll give him credit for that. However, there are some bad things. First of all, anyone can change that information. So you or I could log in, and I actually think I have a Wikipedia login. I don't think I've ever changed anything in there, though. I think I just did it to see if I could do it. And so you could log in and make changes to websites if you wanted to. And what has happened is they've perpetrated a lot of hoaxes. So I'm going to take us into this hoaxes page so we can take a look at some of the hoaxes. And I think I'm going to have to do that. So if we scroll down the page, we'll see there's pages and pages and pages of different hoaxes that have been perpetrated. And these are hoaxes that they know about. I don't know if there are hoaxes out there that they don't know about. Anything from some star dying to, just misinformation that's out on the internet. So you need to really be careful when you go out and you use that. Another one is accuracy. This is one of the biggest things. A large study that was done that where someone went out and looked at did a medical dosage study where they found that 80% of the Wikipedia information that was on there was correct, but when they went to the physician's desk reference, they found that 95 to 96% of that was correct. So 20% of the information about medical dosages in Wikipedia was incorrect. The ugly part is that your instructors don't want you to use it. They even have a bad stigma towards it. It's kind of partly because it is an encyclopedia, and typically they don't want you to use encyclopedia references in your papers. But there's just a horrible stigma by the instructors. Now, I think there is a way to look into Wikipedia and find pertinent information. First of all, never cite it as your source. Beware of if you go into Wikipedia and you find one with a single source, you want to be careful of that one too. If they have a large amount of different sources that they draw upon to put together that Wikipedia website, that's probably better. Typically, they would be considered triangulation, where they're taking information from multiple sources and making sure that those things coordinate into a valid document. All right, and so the best thing that you can do with a Wikipedia website is check the original source. So you follow the references, and that will take you to the hyperlink to that page. In the last, I'll go there in a second, but I just want to also touch on this too. In the last presentation, we talked about doing a test of the 5 criteria for evaluating a website. If you guys would like a copy of that, just let me know. And so when you get to that hyperlink, make sure that you check that website to make sure it's a .edu or .gov or so on and so forth. So what I'm talking about, and you're probably aware of this if you've gone into Wikipedia. So say, for instance, I'm going to the information literacy website. And if a Wikipedia website is worth its salt, it's got these little references, and hopefully you can see my little pointer here. But if I click on one of those, it's going to take me down to the references section. All right. What I can do is click on that link, and it should take me to the home page where they got that information. So this is a .org, so I want to be careful with it. But at least this is the information that this is where the original information was found. So this, I would rather see you cite this particular page than using something from a Wikipedia website. All right. So let's see, our next slide. What have we learned? Well, that I'm going to say it again, you are Google's product and you're not their client. They're there to take your information. It's great that it's easy to search, but they aren't the ones that where you're going to find the best information. Okay, so I see that there are some questions. I'm almost done here, and then I'll answer those. Be careful what you put on the internet. We talked a little bit about that. Use the site that's probably the best information I can give you. And then if you're using Wikipedia, make sure that you follow those references. All right, let's look at some of these questions if I can get them to come up. Okay. Okay, I wonder if they're in the background. Okay, still, bear with me, please. Let's see. Okay, so I think I've unmuted everyone. It looks like some people have left questions for me, but I can't figure out how to get into those. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask them at this time.
Even when if the time comes out, we're going to play those.
Professor, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Great. I had a quick question. My name is Rasmussen Sarah, first of all, and when I was looking at your Google search for the site home.edu, right? And
Yeah,
how
I think
you
so.
down the
Somebody, there's some weird noises in the background here.
Yeah, that's not me.
Can I get your name?
My name is Massimiliano Sarah.
Okay.
Okay.
Better.
So,
okay.
So you can still hear me, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So when you were demonstrating this, correct? Was there any other tools that you can use to knock down the amount of results?
Yeah. Well, the only other.
I mean, I'm a master's student, so I'm looking at how to best search because I was having difficulty using Google Scholar and things like that because of the whole pay thing and.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, did you go into the online library and search in there as well?
I have. Some
Okay.
of the stuff's not there. Like some of the articles are just not there, and I don't know why. Maybe there's some sort of copyright issue with it. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
But you know, when I looked at this webinar to begin with, I thought, well, hey, you know, I didn't think there was a way to even you know, use Wikipedia at all. So actually, I've learned quite a bit today.
Cool. Yep. The couple things that I would do is the reason we've got 300,000 results here is because you know, we've only got one search term. So if I started adding other search terms here, it would start to decrease it. The other thing I would say is that not a lot of people know about this, and you know, since I've taught you this is probably the best thing. But there is an advanced search in Google. Where I don't know if you've had a chance to go through this, where you can use your Boolean operators. You know, you can look for all these words. That's your and search, a phrase search. Any of these words would be like an or, and none of these words would be like using not. For your case, you're a master's student. What I would suggest is if you find a citation, go to the online library and go over to the services section. I don't know if you've done this yet or not, but you utilize the interlibrary loan function. Are you familiar with that?
No, actually.
Okay.
Let me write that down. So what am I supposed to do again?
Okay, let me show you real quick on the screen. Hopefully you can still see it, right? Okay. So if you go to the online library and you go under the services and policies. I got something in my way here that I can't see it. There we go. Yep. It's called interlibrary loan. If you click on that, you can create an account. Yours would be a new user. And so then you go in and you create an account. You tell them you're either an online or an on-ground student, whatever it is you are, and then
a little bit of both, but okay.
Okay. If you're associated with a ground campus, then you can take online courses, but unless you're specifically AUO, then you're a ground student.
Yeah, I'm actually associated with a ground campus, San Diego.
Okay. Yeah, so go in and create an account in here, and then what will happen is it's all electronic. So if you're looking for articles, what will happen is you put in the citations, you submit the request, and however long it takes to get that, what will happen is you'll get an email, and then it will say you've got a request, you've got an article waiting for you in your Iliad account. You log back into your Iliad account, and then you have like 30 days to look at it. So at that point, it's typically a PDF, and what you do is you can either download it or look at it and decide it's not something you want to keep. Just leave it in there, and it'll go away in 30 days. So in your case...
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, do you know the typical turnaround time for that kind of request?
It all depends. I would say it's probably like... I don't manage those. I manage the ILLs for the Twin Cities campus and the Argosy Online campus. For us, it's probably between 5 to 7 days because everything is electronic, and we have a staff. We have a staff that works on this.
Basically, plan ahead and have a big window.
Yeah, and it could be quicker than that. I just say 5 to 7 days to manage expectations. So
Okay. Shoot, I had that other question. When you mentioned the whole email, how you, like you said, you get an email stating that you have said article or book or whatnot. Do I log? You said I'm supposed to log back into this site here?
correct. It's kind of like it's kind of like your Facebook account where you go and you check it every once in a while, and then it's like there's an article there or there's not an article there, so on and so forth. So yeah, it's
So
something
how
you
do I log
have to
back
manage
in?
your password.
Right. How would I actually log back in here though? That's my question because here I don't know if there's like like is it a normal login like on Argosy's student login? Is it like that or is it different?
No, when the email goes to you, you'll have a link within the email that you can go and it'll take you to that page. If you are going back, you can come back to this. If you just want to go and check on it or whatever, you can go to the services and policies again, click on Interlibrary Loan, and this is for new users here, but there's the if you've already logged in page, so you can click on that and you can log in here, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's where the link is located. What's that?
Okay.
And you can make it a favorite.
There is a way to go straight into there. Okay.
Yep. Okay. Well, let's see.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Are there any other questions out there? Oh, I see. Oh.
Yes, hi.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hi. I've learned a lot today as well, especially in reference to the effective use of Google. And all I wanted to know is, you said, I may have missed it because I had audio for a while, but how do you reference a Google source? Let's say I'm going to use the site edu in front of whatever I'm searching for, and I find something that I really like that's reliable. How do I reference it from there? Do I use the reference within the article that I locate?
Okay, so is this Cynthia, or is this somebody else?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Cynthia.
Okay. And this is the last question I'm actually going to be able to take, just because I've got to get ready for another presentation here in like 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
But your citation information is going to come directly from the website that you cited. So you don't have to do the site.edu. You don't have to do anything for that. You have to take all your information from the actual website. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to teach this course or this particular class, is because that is so hard when you go out onto Google and you try to find that information. A lot of times there will be a copyright date on the page, but you don't use the copyright date for your citation. So you end up doing, in parentheses, you put N period, D period for no date. Yeah. And then the other piece, too, is that there aren't any page numbers, which isn't the end of the world, because you can use para and then just count down all the paragraphs. But if it's like if it's like got 50 paragraphs and you have to sit there and count through each one of them, that gets to be quite an ordeal. It's essentially, you've got to find an author, and if there's no author, then you would just use whatever corporate author, resource, whatever that was listed there. So if you went to an online library, or if you went to like University of Minnesota's web page, you call it University of Minnesota, you put no date, and then you just whatever it's listed as, whatever site. Whatever the title is at the top of the page, that would be your title, and then you do the retrieved. I typically like to throw in the retrieved date, retrieved July 23rd, 2013 from so on and so forth, just so that people know when I got that information, and then just throw in the URL. So that's how you would cite that.
Right, but you said that Google, that at the beginning you said that what you have seen is improper use of Google citation. That's not APA format. So that's really what I was concerned about, because I use Google quite a bit. Because a lot of times, the online library, like the other lady said, I can't seem to find my articles. Even though now the policies and services, I'm going to request account, which may help me.
Okay.
So yeah. Okay. Well.
Sorry.
I'll just have to. No, that's okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll try to folloll up with you, Cynthia.
Okay.
And maybe answer that question. But right now, I do have to open up for the next the next class.
No problem. I have to go to another one too. So take care.
Thanks everyone for coming. Take care. Bye-bye.